The light of the late afternoon is a weak, honey-colored thing, filtering through the dense canopy of the Pleistocene forest. It pulls on the damp earth where a small band of Homo neanderthalensis moves with practiced quiet, 2 females and a young male. His broad shoulders still filling out, scan the undergrowth. Theirs is an existence measured in calories and caution. A deep, practical knowledge of the world passed down not in words but in gestures, in shared meals, in the way an elder points with a chin toward a promising root or away from a patch of bitter leaves. This is the very dawn of ethnobating, an unwritten encyclopedia of survival-bound and sinuant memory. The air hangs thick with the scent of decay and dump stone, the soundtrack of their lives. The young male, Kale, strays slightly from the others. A flash of impossible color has snagged his gaze. Huddled in the crook of a moss-covered root is a flower unlike any they know. Its petals are a deep, almost violent purple, a shade that seems to drink the fading light. It is beautiful. It is alien. The older of the 2 females,
This raft is
Nora,
more than a
the
tool.
clan's matriarch of
It is a
memory,
leap
sees it
in
and
the
grunts a soft
story of
warning,
human
a sound of uncertainty. This bloom has no place in the clan's catalogue of edibles, medicinals, or poisons. It is simply other. But youth is a currency of risks. While Mara's back is turned, digging for tubers, Kale plucks one of the velvety petals. He brings it to his lips. There is no bitter taste, no immediate sting of warning. There is almost nothing. A faint, sweetish neutrality. He swallows it. A secret act of defiance. A small test against the world's vast ignorance. The moment passes. He finds a handful of edible grubs, and the foraging party turns for home. Their baskets heavy enough for the evening's meal. The strange flower is forgotten. A splash of silent color left behind in the deepening woods of prehistoric life. The first tremor begins as the sun bleeds away behind the ridgeline. Kale, sitting by the fire, drops a piece of roasted marrow. His hand, a powerful to love scented bone, flutters with a life of its own. He stares at it, a look of profound confusion on his broad face. Then comes the tightening in his chest, a breath that catches and refuses to release. The clan gathers. There is no wound to pack with moss, no broken bone to set. This is an invisible assailant, a ghost clawing at him from the inside. They watch, their low calls of comfort turning to expressions of stark fear. As his powerful body betrays him, the seizures begin, a terrible, thrashing dance that speaks of a mind losing its grip on the flesh. Mara, seeing the violet stain on his lips in the firelight, understands. She held a sound of pure, helpless grief. They can only watch as the color of silence claims him. Kayla's death leaves a scar not on the skin, but on the clan's collective mind. The place where the purple flower grows is now shunned, a patch of earth radiating a silent taboo. Fear, for these ancient humans, has always been a tangible thing. The snap of a twig in the dark, the scent of a predator on the wind. But this is new, a fear of something that does not roar or charge. Something that kills with a touch of beauty. It is a concept their experience has no tool for. Survival, for a time, continues its grinding rhythm. But another shadow is falling upon them, one they know all too well. It begins with tracks. Deep gouges in the mud by the riverbank, each one the size of a man's face. Then comes the roar, a sound that does not just break the silence of the night but shatters it, a territorial claim that makes the very stones of their shelter seem to vibrate. It is a great cave lion, a male in its prime, larger and more aggressive than any they have faced. This is not just one of the many prehistoric animals in their world. This is a king. It begins to hunt their hunting grounds, stealing their kills, driving the herds of deer and wild horse into panic. Unpredictable migrations. The hunters return with empty hands and haunted eyes. Hunger, a familiar ache, begins to sharpen into a weapon aimed at the clan's heart. Wherein watches, he is not the strongest hunter, his body lacking the sheer explosive power of the others. But his hands are the clan's future. He sits for hours, his legs crossed, a slab of fine-grained flint held between his knees. With a hammerstone of antler, he strikes the edge. His movements a symphony of precision. This is the Lavaluvie's technique, a method passed down through generations, preparing a core to yield a perfect, predetermined flake with a single, decisive blow. Each flake he produces is a leaf of stone, lethally sharp. It is an act of profound foresight, a physical manifestation of abstract thought central to human evolution. As his hands work, his mind wanders. He sees Kaela's final moments, the thrashing limbs, the silent, internal violence. Then, he hears the lion's roar in his memory, the sound of absolute external power. The clan's best hunter is brought back with his arm torn open, the flesh ripped to the bone. The lion is too fast, too strong. The heavy, fire-hardened spears are a deterrent, but against this beast, they are little more than sharp sticks. Desperation curdles the air around the fire. It is in this moment of collective despair that the two images in Orton's mind, the writhing boy and the roaring predator, collide. The flower's silent power, the lion's loud power. What if one could be used to answer the other? It is an impossible thought. A connection never made before in the history of his people. A true cognitive leap. The idea is so monstrous, so contrary to the natural order, that he feels a tremor of fear run through him. To wield the power of the taboo flower, it is like trying to hold lightning. He looks at the hungry faces of the children, at the wound of the hunter, and the fear begins to calcify into resolve. He hides his finest point, a flawless stone blade, and waits. Orin does not use words. He walks to the center of the firelight, the perfect flint point held flat on his palm. He lays it on a stone for all to see. Then, he begins a pantomime of terrible clarity. His hands flutter at his throat. His body convulses, mimicking Kaela's agonizing end. He points a single, steady finger toward the dark woods, in the direction of the taboo place. A murmur of fear ripples through the small gathering of ancient humans. Then, he picks up a heavy stick, holds it like a spear, and reenacts the lion's attack. The roar, the swipe, the hunt is full. Finally, he takes the flint point, gestures again to the forbidden place, and then makes a swift, jabbing motion at an invisible beast. He haunts the pose, his face a mask of grim intensity. The meaning is unmistakable, and it is horrifying. Mara rises, her face etched with grief and fury. She lets out a sharp cry of negation. To touch the spirit of that death, to invite it into a tool, is an abomination. She points at the wounded hunter, then at Orton's spear point, and shakes her head violently. But her protest is drowned out by a weaker sound, the cry of a hungry child. That sound cuts through the taboo, through the fear of the unknown. The clan is trapped between two deaths. The quick fang of the lion, or the slow, gnawing emptiness of starvation. It is the ultimate hard choice. One by one, the hunters look from the child to Orin's flint blade. They nod. The pact is sealed in silence, a collective gamble born of utter desperation. At dawn, Orin and the clan's late hunter, the grim man named Beowulf, move into the forest. They find the flowers still pulsing with their silent, violent color. They do not touch them with their skin. Using the flat stones, Orin crushes the petals and stems, releasing a dark, oily paste. The act feels like a sacrilege. Beowulf lashes the flint point to a seasoned shaft of yew, his knuckles white. Then, Orin carefully, methodically, anoints the spearhead with the dark substance. The weapon is now something new, something more than wood and stone. It holds a ghost. They do not hunt the lion, they bait it. A small deer, taken with a thrown rock that breaks its leg, is left bleating in a clearing downwind from the lion's lair. The clan hides, hearts hammering against their ribs, a new kind of fear mixing with the old. The great megafauna emerges at dusk, a fluid mountain of muscle and fang. It stalks toward the deer, arrogant in its power. Beowulf moves, a shadow detaching from other shadows. He does not aim for the neck or heart. He needs only to break the skin. He lunges. A single, desperate thrust into the beast's massive flank. The lion roars, a sound of shock and fury, and spins, claws extended. But Bioar is already gone, melting back into the trees. The lion, bleeding only slightly, looks around in confusion, then turns its attention back to its kill. The clan can only wait. The poison is a whisper against the fang. They track the beast for a day. They find it not far from its den, lying on its side. There is no sign of a struggle. Its great chest is still. The study of taphonomy begins here, not as a science, but as a silent, awestruck observation of cause and effect. They have killed a god, not with strength, but with a flower. The silence around the fallen predator is heavier than any sound. This act of intellectual alchemy, transforming a tragic poison into a deliberate tool, has irrevocably altered their place in the world. They are no longer just the hunted, or even just the hunters. They are the ones who can borrow the strength of the earth, the very essence of death, and hold it in their hands. This cognitive leap is a fundamental turning point in hominid history, a whisper of the power that will one day allow their descendants to split the atom and edit the code of life itself. The flower's red promise was kept, but the cost is a new and terrible awareness. The line between prey and predator has not just been blurred. It has been redrawn with a poison that kills from within, a chilling metaphor for the complex and often dangerous intelligence that defines our species. This single, desperate innovation, born of fear and foresight million years ago, is the bedrock on which all future human technology, from the pestilent mortar to the particle accelerator, will be built. It begs a question that echoes through the ages, whether in harnessing the hidden forces of the natural world, we conquered nature, or simply unleashed a more dangerous part of our own. We bear witness, not to judge the shadows they embraced, but to understand the fires they lit within them.
The journey back is
But a power that kills what you cannot touch can also touch what you do not intend to kill.